Hello everyone, welcome. This session is being recorded. I'm going to hand this over to Lauren now.
Hi everybody, thanks for joining me later in the day. Hopefully this is a good time for people. We don't always hold sessions this late, but wanted to try something different. I think I know all of you, but if I don't, my name is Lauren Clifford. I'm one of the advisors for the Visions program. And I want to chat with you guys today about planning, but maybe in a different way than you have previously thought about it. I know a lot of you are exposed and taught in previous K through 12 how to organize yourself academically, and I find that there are some things missing. So that's what we're going to chat about today. And my goal is not just to get you organized as a student, but hopefully get you organized in a way that will actually take some stress off and make you maybe help alleviate some anxiety. Forgive me, I threw some cheesiness throughout this presentation. Hopefully you get a little bit of a chuckle at the memes that I've thrown in, even if you're laughing at me and not with me. So I'm gonna start off. So I do want to start with a quick poll. And hopefully you guys can all see this, but it just asks a couple quick questions about who you are as a person as far as organization, your past with it. And Angela, maybe you can give me a thumbs up. You guys can see the poll good, right? You can. Okay, cool. Sometimes Zoom still seems mysterious to me. I don't know what others are saying. All right, there we go. Some are starting to pop in. I always love when people say somewhat organized but could improve. I think organization is like a lot of skills in life. You never stop learning, you never stop adjusting. You're going to learn now how to be organized and manage your time as a student, but then someday you're going to potentially learn how to manage your time as maybe a full-time employee, maybe as a parent or a partner. There's just so many different roles in our lives. So you are going to have to flex and change the way you organize your time and manage your time. So it's good to keep that mindset that we can always change and improve. All right. I think people are good. So I'm going to end it so we can look at it together. So like I was saying, somewhat organized, but can always improve. I put myself in that category. This is always an interesting question to me, needing to be organized in high school to get the grades that you wanted. I've actually gotten more yes. If I wasn't organized, I'd miss an assignment than I expected. I've had a lot of students tell me, they pretty much told me the night before what I needed to do, and I just did it that night. We're going to talk more about this, but you might not find that's the same in college. But that's good. Some of you had to be organized in the past, so this is maybe not as new as I expected. Always a fun question. So we're going to talk about time management versus assignment management. It sounds like a lot of you, the time piece is more difficult. And again, some interesting across the board, people think might be easier, might be harder. And I think there's some validity to all of that. So thanks for taking that. It's really helpful for me to see where you guys all are. All right. So before we get started, I have a lot of people that say I've been able to get away with being pretty unorganized in the past. I don't know why I really need to think about this. I don't know why I need to attend this workshop. For some of you that are required to be here for class, they're like, this is not my thing. And this just made me chuckle. My life is about as organized as the $5 bin at Walmart. Like, not at all, right? Everything's just in one big chaos. So let's talk about why it might be a little different right now. This semester in particular, just with being online, you're going to have a lot more pressure for you yourself to organize time. Not just that time that you spend on homework and outside of class, but potentially if you don't have a set time that your class is meeting, you're having to make up for that. So yeah, a little more pressure than usual. College is a little different, and then there's more weight on you to keep track of due dates. There's not going to be that same frequent reminder. I do think a lot of our faculty that teach first semester or first year common courses, introduction courses, they might be kinder and they might know that you're adjusting and they might remind you, but I just want to put it out there that that's not always a requirement. There will be less or no time to work on assignments in class. Obviously, right now we're virtual, there might not be any class time, but a lot of people tell me that, oh, I was able to do my assignment in class, or I had a study hall and I really didn't do a lot at home. I don't think that you're going to find that to be as common, so something else to think about. Longer term projects, I think a lot of high school teachers are assigning things that you can do overnight. I'm going to assign it this Wednesday, it's due maybe Thursday or Friday. You're going to find that in college, assignments are at least a week based, maybe longer than that. You're going to have papers and projects that maybe you work on for a full semester. And that's not to scare you. The faculty will help you break it down into smaller pieces, but it's really important for you to be organizing that. And finally, the one that's kind of the biggest for me is, feel free to throw up a reaction emoji or give me hands up, but has anybody ever had that feeling where I feel like I should be doing something, but I don't know what it is, and so I don't feel productive, but I also don't feel like I'm enjoying this Netflix because I just feel guilty the whole time? I mean, that happens to me. So hopefully if we're keeping track of, what we're doing and what we need to get done, my goal is for you to be able to enjoy that downtime and rest and recuperate so you can be more effective in your academics. So I am going to break this down into two major sections, and I think this is one of the bigger differences between any of the kind of time management lessons you may have gotten before. So we're going to break it down into time management and assignment management. Time management is where is our time going and what activities or tasks do we need to set time aside for, whereas assignment management is what are we needing to get done. What are the deadlines that we have? What are the assignments or projects that are ongoing? So we're going to start with the time management piece. If you are in FYE, this is the sheet that was posted in our Blackboard. For other people, we will definitely post this and we'll make this available for you. If you want an hourly sheet like this, you can also just Google weekly hourly planner and you should be able to find something. The one that I like and that I found, you actually, if you go to the website, can edit it. So this one, as the example, I think goes 7 a.m. till 11 p.m. Some people are at work by 6 a.m., right? Or some people are working overnights. You should be able to find some templates based on the internet that can accommodate whatever is, whatever your life looks like. This one is also by half-hour blocks. You can set them up to be 1-hour blocks, 15-minute blocks, whatever works for you. But our goal is to get a template, and we're going to set up what an ideal and what a busy week would look like. So I'm not going to be asking anybody to do a new one of these every single week, right? That takes a lot of time, and I don't think that that's necessarily useful. But what I do want you to think about is what a week might look like if I stick to my goals, but we're also going to plan for a busy week. So maybe midterms or finals, or just a week where I haven't examined multiple classes. Why do we do that? Well, we want to plan for the worst and hope for the best, right? So we've planned, and we can show ourselves that even when it is really busy, I have the time to do it if I stick to this schedule. And then the good news is most weeks are going to be easier and lighter, right? But we have that time if we need it. So once you have that, take a minute, and if you guys want to throw out maybe stuff in the comments, you're welcome to shout out verbally if you prefer. But what are some things that take up time? And they can be for you personally, or just think about a college student in general. What are the things that take up the hours of the day for a college student? And I promise it's not a trick question.
I just came in.
Yeah, that's okay. So we're talking about things that take up time of day for college students. So yeah, absolutely. Readings, work, homework is a big one. And we're going to talk about what homework means, because there's a lot of subcategories to that. Family obligations, absolutely. Whether that means you are somebody who is helping parents, whether you live at home or elderly family that lives nearby, or maybe you are the parent, you have children to care for, or both. Social obligations, friends, work hours, absolutely. These are all things. I don't want to give anyone else a second. Things that take up time. So yeah, I see a couple more coming in. Sleeping, chores. These are things that we want to take into consideration. And I think, again, I'm not trying to pick on anybody, but I think when they teach you time management, sometimes they don't talk about you as a whole person and all the needs that you have. And I don't think that you can be successful if you don't acknowledge those things. So I'm sure that I made the list that's not comprehensive. I'm sure there are things on there that, or are not on there, that you would add. Obviously, if you don't have a pet, like, you don't have to worry about pet care. But I wanted to give you kind of a summary. You know, I use the example eating, like, yes, put time aside for that. You know, most of the people that work in the Visions and RX office, if we didn't put lunch down, we would probably just end up working right through it because we're busy with what we're doing. But if I don't take time to eat and drink some water, am I going to be the best advisor? Am I going to be as helpful as I could be? Probably not. And the same goes for you. If you're not taking the time to sleep as much as you need, or to, you know, enjoy friendships or family, things like that, you're not going to do your best academic work. So I really do care about you putting in time for all of these things. There's also some sneaky ones, maybe a little less on right now, but like commuting, you need to set time aside for that. And definitely anything that's maybe a weekly obligation, community commitments, religious commitments, things like that. I want you putting those in there. If they're important to you, they deserve to be on your schedule. I will also, a caveat when you're doing this, you don't need to say, well, this is when I brush my teeth, and this is when I take my shower, and this is when I get dressed. You can just put a morning routine block, but giving yourself ample time to do the tasks that are important and needed. So how would you fill that out? You get your blank schedule, whether it is printed, whether you find it on the internet. I will also say, even though when we talk about assignment management in a few minutes, I really do like paper for that. This, I think, is a good time to use the technology that you have if that's what you'd like. So if you have iCal or Google Cal, this is totally acceptable to use in that. I think the nice color coding blocks, the repeating aspect can make this super easy. But you're going to start with things that are reoccurring. So maybe your work schedule is pretty consistent. Do you have class times that are always the same every week? Do you have tutoring or other appointments? Again, those family or religious commitments, if you have things like that, community commitments, committees you're on, teams you're on, anything like that, putting those in, because those need a very specific time slot. After that, you're gonna kind of go into the things that are a little more flexible. This might include homework time, which we're gonna talk a little bit more when I say homework, but no, homework is a very general kind of anything outside of class that's academic. People ask me how much time you should set aside for your schoolwork. It's hard. It really depends on how easy or difficult a class is, but also how time consuming. So you may really love writing and literature, and you may be in a literature class. It might be easy for you, but if it's still time consuming because you're spending a lot of time writing, you might want to put extra time aside for that. As a general rule of thumb, you're probably, a 3-credit class should be 3 hours in the lecture. For every 1 hour you're in class, you should be spending about 2 hours. So typically you'd put your 3 hours of class time on your schedule, and then you'd want 6 hours of that homework time. I will say, being remote this semester, that doesn't mean those 3 hours that I should have been in class magically disappear. If truly the class is independent learning and you are doing it all on your own, it is not unheard of to plan about 9 hours throughout your week for that one class. Put those 9 hours aside. Is it going to take 9 hours every single week? Probably not. But again, I'm erring on, I'd like you to have more time set aside than not enough. All right. So hold on, I should have flipped these. So I'm going to go back to Baby Yoda in a minute. So this is what we were chatting about before. When I say homework, I think, again, from K-12, we have this very traditional homework means that I'm going to do this worksheet. When I say homework, I am including anything that has to do with that academic course that's not kind of prescribed lecture time. So any of the reading that you're having to do, any tutoring appointment, papers, so researching, drafting, having people proofread that, homework in the traditional sense, any faculty office hours you're going to, anytime you spend doing a group project, again, research, time spent in the library, watching videos, whether that is recorded lectures from your faculty, supplemental videos that they've recommended, or even videos on your own that you found to help supplement that course. So just know that when I say homework, I'm meaning that as a really general term, and really it includes all of this. So hopefully that makes a little more sense. When I say 9 hours or 6 hours a week, I'm talking about doing all of these things. Because a lot of times people will say, well, it doesn't take me 6 hours to get this worksheet done. No, but you probably had to put some of that effort in elsewhere. I did like these little pie charts because it's an expectation and reality. I think we can relate to that, but I really think it's with planning and without planning, because how many times, if you're not keeping yourself to some sort of schedule, do you pick up your phone and you just start scrolling through, you know, TikTok or Instagram, and then suddenly an hour's gone by, right? And so keeping ourselves somewhat accountable can really make sure that you're using your time where you want to use it. And so we're toddlers, right? Like we are giant toddlers, and we need to parent ourselves, and we need to give ourselves structure. I'm not above this. I have to give myself structure too. Give myself time limits. Like, okay, I'm going to set a timer. You can go on TikTok for 30 minutes and that's it. Like, it's real life and it's nothing to be ashamed of. So I do want to throw that out there. Let me go back to Baby Yoda for a minute. The other thing, when we're putting these times on our calendar, on our weekly schedule, we just need to be realistic. If we don't function well in the morning, that's okay. I think our society, for whatever reason, really emphasizes that like morning people are better and like, yay, get up at the crack of dawn and get all your work done. If that's not you, that's okay. I happen to fit in that category. I don't work well late at night. But if, you know, 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. is your prime functioning hours, and that's fine. Don't compare yourself to a sibling, a partner, a best friend. Find what works for you and make that schedule based on that. So just a little caveat with that. So just to recap, so that was time management. That was where are the hours going in the day? How much are we setting aside for each task? Okay, great. Now we have a block that says do psychology homework, but how do I know what I'm supposed to do with that block of time? Well, that's where we kind of get into assignment management, and that's kind of our running task list. I personally really like a more traditional planner. I like not having to worry about if my battery is going to die. Do I have to pull out my laptop, or, you know, am I going to have Wi-Fi or signal or whatever? I like to just be able to pull this out. I'm also a nerd that loves like washi tape and stickers and colored pens. That's okay. You find whatever works for you. But we want to be a little bit consistent about that. So pick one format. If you want to use, you know, Google Calendar, use that. If you want to use paper, doesn't matter. Pick one. I have some students who are like, I'm so organized, I have 10 planners. Pick one, please. You're going to drive yourself crazy. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab whatever format of planner we want. I will also say a traditional wall calendar is also fine. If that's what works for you, that's okay too. And then you're going to grab your syllabus from each class. Hopefully your faculty have laid out a nice detailed agenda for the semester. Might not have all the nitty gritty of each assignment, but hopefully it's going to give you some due dates. And then you probably want to grab any sort of important calendars you have. So I know for sure you'd want to grab the Visions or RX calendar of events. You'd want to grab the Mount Wachusett calendar, academic calendar of, you know, when is ad drop, when is registration, all of that. And then depends on who you are. Do you have children in school? You might want to grab their sports calendar or school calendar. Again, any community or religious groups that you're with, do they have an events calendar? Get all of that, get it all together, because we're going to sit down once and we're going to plan out a couple months worth of time. It's not always the most exciting thing you can do. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. But I can tell you, sitting down for that hour of time and planning out at least a couple months worth will take so much stress and so much pressure off that it's worth it in the long run. Do you want to sit down every night with 3 to 5 syllabi and try to figure out what's due tomorrow by flipping through 5 packets of information? Or do you want to pick up one notebook and easily see what dates overlap, or, you know, oh, this test is on the same day as this other function, things like that. So again, I know it's not the most glamorous activity, but I guarantee it will relieve some of that stress later. So let's talk more in depth. Most important slide. Again, I'm not picking on anyone, but I don't know that they truly teach you the benefits and how to fill this out correctly. You're going to start by going class by class or group or whatever it is, and you're going to fill out all the important dates. You know, take that Visions calendar, fill out all the important dates. When we go to our syllabi and we're looking at the academics, we want to give ourselves some wiggle room, some dates that will kind of prompt us. I think too often, especially when things are due on Monday, sometimes we don't flip that page in our planner soon enough. So with an exam, I recommend at least a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks in advance to start thinking about that test. We can have a whole workshop on how and when to prep for our exams, but for the sake of this, I'm going to ask you, depending on how comprehensive that exam, is it over 1 chapter or is it over 10 chapters, give yourself a date to start. Hopefully you'll start that day, but if nothing else, it's going to prevent that exam from sneaking up on you. I hate to say it, but you'll also find that classes kind of sync up and that there are busy times. You're going to start to wonder to yourself, did all of my faculty get together and play a joke on me? Did they all think that it would be fun to do an exam in the same week? I promise they didn't. It just happens that way. We're not that mean. We don't pre-plan it. But you're going to want to know a week in advance that you have 3 exams on the same day so that you can prep and you can say, all right, I'm going to do this one now, and then in 2 days, I'm going to start the next one, or whatever your plan happens to be. But don't just put the date of the exam, put when you want to start studying. Similarly, when you have large papers, large projects, you're going to want to give yourself a couple dates. I would say put in a date that you want to start the project, even if you're being overly ambitious and you know, maybe it's earlier than you'll actually start it. At least you can't say that it snuck up on you. So a date to start, a date to be maybe halfway, especially if, again, it's a larger project. And if it's a paper, maybe a date that you want to have it reviewed, somebody to edit it for you. Yeah, it would be great if there was always someone available the night before to read it. But realistically, especially if you're asking a professional tutor, you're going to want to give them 24 hours or more to read that. So here's when I'm going to start it. I'm going to be halfway done by this date. And then by this date, I'm going to get it to Mary so that she can proofread it for me. I have a whole nother day to make those edits, then hand it into my faculty. I think that, again, we're not taught to put in these other dates, but this is the key to success. This is the key to relieving some of that stress, making you less anxious, because you know there aren't going to be surprises, and you know what's coming your way, and you're going to be prepared. Is it completely stress-free? No, I can't make any promises like that. It is still going to be hard if you have 3 exams in the same week, but at least you knew about it. And I think taking that surprise factor out can, again, lessen that stress. And so, yeah, number 5 was just kind of being aware and conscious of when things kind of sync up and you'll be busier. So one argument I do get is that, well, faculty has the ability to change things, and I really don't want to write them in my planner for them to just change. I doubt that it will happen super, super frequently, but I really think that it outweighs it to have it in that planner and to kind of have that heads up. I'd rather have you have to make a change than to miss an assignment completely and get a 0, or to not have some of that work done in time. So faculty will accept late work, others won't. So if you're choosing between having to change and scribble out a date versus get a 0 because you missed an assignment, I'd rather you have to change the date. But that's just me. So that's pretty much assignment management. Again, there's no perfect way. Everybody was going to put their own spin on it. The other thing that I like to emphasize real quick is just talking about grades. So I will also say that this semester, again, is different being online. I know at least with our FYE class, I am grading more heavily on Blackboard than I ever have. And so you will find, maybe you are finding that this semester faculty are putting all of their grades on Blackboard and you're able to see it on a more ongoing live pace. But I have found that in the past, grades aren't always uploaded onto Blackboard. And so you don't always know, you don't have a system that's telling you at any given time, what's my grade? My favorite example of this is a lot of times when you're in an in-person class and you're taking a handwritten test, you'll find that you will get the exam back graded one day in class. You'll get to see what your grade is. You'll get to see what questions you may have gotten wrong, what errors you made, maybe discuss it as a class. And then afterwards, your professor might actually collect those exams back. It just helps prevent, cheating and preventing answer keys from, floating around. I don't know about you, my memory is not always great. So let's say you have 5 exams in that class. What did I get on that last exam? Was it a 85? Was it a 58? What did I get? So what I recommend is, as you're putting all of this in your planner, whether you create a chart on the back of the syllabus, whether you create a chart in your agenda or your planner, look at how that particular class in each of your classes is grading, and just keep in mind to yourself, how will I keep track of these grades? Do I want to write down somewhere every time I get an exam back? Do I want to write down what I get on each paper? That will help you at any given time be able to establish a little bit better how you're doing in that class, or at least be able to bring those grades to your visions or RX advisor, and kind of they can help you calculate it as well. It might not be perfect. There might be things like participation or attendance that you might not know exactly what your points are, but you should be able to get a pretty good overall grade based on that if you're helping to keep track. So just another thing to be thinking about, even if it's not for this semester, something that you might want to be aware of for future semesters. So I'd love to hear any questions or thoughts that people have about this, ways that people might want to implement this information. We'll start with more general questions, and then at the end, we'll turn the recording off, and people that have FYE specific questions, we can answer those. But I'd love to hear from you guys. Things that were maybe surprising, things you hadn't thought of before, or was this old hat? Is this what you guys were taught in the past? I would love to hear that as well.
I really like the distinction between assignment management and time management. I think a lot of times those get lumped together, and it is a really helpful tool to actually break that down. Because the panic of, okay, I know I'm supposed to be doing this work right now, but I don't know exactly what assignment I need to do, can sometimes eat up part of your study hour. So it's really good to think about getting that laid out ahead of time. I liked that tip.
Yeah.
I was definitely gonna plan on working on my planner, because I'm also in HCOP, and they literally provided me with a planner, and so I haven't even put it to use, and it would be a very good use. Instead of looking through all my syllabi every night trying to figure out what assignments are due, I could just look at my planner and see all the assignments. Also helpful. So definitely gonna take that with me. First thing I'm gonna do.
Great point, right? And the other thing that makes me think of is sometimes people will tell me, I could write it in here, but I won't remember to look at it. Another little tip that I have is we don't forget to brush our teeth, right? Like it's just part of our habit. And so we need to make this a habit. And so for you, if it's newer, it's okay to pick a time of day or they're associated with another task. Like when I come home from work, I look at my planner. Or set an alarm and say every day, 4 o'clock, I'm going to pull this out and just see either what I need to do today, what I need to do tomorrow, and build that habit. Eventually, you won't need the alarm to remind you. So, something else to think about.
About my assignments, yes, I'm excited for that. Thank you.
Good,
so much.
good. And I promise, I know that it's not the most glamorous activity. I've said this, but it just saves so much stress later. And I don't think I can emphasize how much I want you to enjoy your downtime. I don't want you to be stressed out about what am I supposed to do. I spent so much time in college in this middle ground of like, I didn't want to do my work, but I like knew I should be working. So I didn't let myself do anything fun. Like, oh, you can't go hang out. No, or either sit down and do your work, or I want you to enjoy your downtime. You need to have that. Block off time for that show with your friend or your sibling or your family, whatever. Like,
that's definitely why I thought that tip was so helpful, because I spent so much time stressing about not doing work or like not having a specific structure, that like this applying a planner and having some sort of structure and organization would definitely eliminate so much stress.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm taking this away.
Awesome. And please keep me updated. Like if you guys find this helpful, send me an email in a couple weeks. You know, you can show yourself like, no brain, like, look, I've crossed off everything I need to do. I really am allowed to enjoy this night out with my friends. I really did do my work. I'm a visual person. It helps me kind of say, yes, I did do my work, and I'm allowed to kind of have that free space.
Yes, thank you so much.
Yeah. I'm jealous of the people that can have fun despite like whatever might be looming above their head. Well, thank you guys. I'll definitely still be here. I'm gonna, we'll turn the recording off. Thank you guys for coming.
Of course, thank you for all the useful information.
Good.
Yeah.